Okay, so here we are. You can read the English. Then you shall keep the feast of weeks to the Lord your God with the tribute of a freewill offering from your hand, which you shall give as the Lord your God blesses you. So it would be in addition to the first fruits of wheat that would be brought. There was a requirement for people to give a freewill offering to the Lord, and that would be something that they would personally determine. So there was a faith element involved in that as opposed to it being regimented. And it is somewhat difficult to regiment things of this nature because you have poor people and you have rich people. And so for the poor, it could crush the poor if they're required to bring something that was well beyond their means. And so there's mercy in the Torah. Okay, let's practice our reading today. If you could follow along with me, you could read out loud with me if you're able to. Va'asita chag shavuot ladonai Elohecha misat nidvat yadecha asher titen ka'asher yevarechecha Hashem Elohecha. Let's try that once more. Va'asita chag shavuot ladonai Elohecha. Misat nidvat yadecha asher titan ka'asher yivarechecha Adonai Elohecha. All right, so let's pull this apart. So the first words, of course, you have that conjunctive and, the vav meaning and, which is so typical of Hebrew to begin a sentence with the word and, though not typical in English. So and, the root here is partially obscured. You have a third radical hey, so ein, sin, hey. It's a very common Hebrew verb. The hey has dropped off, hey being a weak radical. Very typical when Hebrew verbs are conjugated and the root has a weak radical such as hey, that it just simply disappears without a trace. Va'asita, the ta on the end, the taf kamates, meaning you, and that would be the masculine singular you. And you will, the root can mean make or do or a variety of other things. And you will do chag shavuot, the feast of Shavuot. You will do the feast. English versions will put some of them, and you shall keep the feast. But it is not the word shamar, to keep, to guard, to observe, to watch over. It is the verb asa. So more technically, and you shall do the feast of Shavuot. Shavuot is plural, meaning weeks. Shavua, we wish you guys each week, someone wishes the tribe Shavua Tov, may you have a good week. So Shavua is the singular form, feminine noun for week. And then Shavuot, whereas the Ashkenazim would say Shavuos, weeks, feast of weeks. So you shall do it or keep it, Ladonai, to Hashem. And it further qualifies Hashem, Elohecha. And this is from the word Elohim, most common word for God in the Tanakh. Elohecha, same personal pronoun added on the end, your, so it's possessive. So up here, be good just to compare the two. These are really the same personal pronoun in terms of the meanings, but when it's possessive, it takes on this form, the chaf sofit, and when it is not possessive, and you will, it's going to just look differently, but in terms of how you translate it in English, it's the same translation, and they can throw people, but it just shows us we've got to memorize these pronoun additives on the end, pronominal suffixes they call them. We've got to memorize them, and that will take some time, but there's a handful of them you'll see just again and again and again. We're going to do the feast to the Lord your God, Elohecha. Continuing on, misat nidvat yedecha. This word misat, this little diacritical marker to the left of the patak, that throws some people because it almost looks like you've got a hirek that has been misplaced. Lo and behold, it is not a hirek. It is a diacritical marker called a tavir, which is a disjunctive accent, just meaning that we're supposed to pause after this word. And so this word only occurs one time in the Hebrew Bible, and it simply means abundance. This is the construct form of it. The root is mem, samech, he. And of course, the dagesh forte in the belly of the samech tells us that the correct spelling of this word in the text is mem, samech, samech, tav. The tav on the end just tells you that this noun is in construct form and it's a feminine noun. And because it only appears once in the entire Hebrew text, it's pretty tough to translate. So I know like one version, I think it was the New King James Version, translated it as tribute, like a tribute offering. And I don't care for that because that in English, modern day English, tribute doesn't really convey that well, like in the context of what's being said. And so I would opt for the word abundance. So the ESV would translate the phrase with the tribute of a free will offering from your hand. Which is, it's a really long phrase because, three words in Hebrew, misat, nidvat, yadecha. Those three words in Hebrew in the ESV are actually translated into 10 English words. So as you can see, the Hebrew is extremely compact here. So I would opt for the translation misat, abundance, but I'm not going to push that just because it only occurs once. So you're going to have to go to other cognate languages to try to get some sense of a meaning. But that's the sense that I get, abundance. So out of like your abundance, you're going to give out of your overflow, out of your abundance. We're going to translate this. See, instead of with the tribute, with, you have to add the word with. That's not in the Hebrew text. Keep the feast to the Lord your God with the abundance of a nidvat, a free will offering. So focusing on the word nidvat, that's also in construct. So we have a construct chain here consisting of three words, misat, nidvat, yedecha. If it's in construct, it's genitival, meaning possessive. So we have to use the word of a couple different times here if we're going to be correct in our translation. So with the abundance of a free will offering. So nidvat is in construct. That comes from nadava. Nadava is a free will offering. And the verbal root of nadava is nun dalet vet. And that simply means to give a free will offering. So you can see they're very closely, the noun and the verb, the noun which is based on the verb form, are extremely close related. And you see that with many, many different types of Hebrew words where the noun and verb form almost mean the exact same thing. Verbal form, the root to give a free will offering. And then the noun form, nidava, is a free will offering. So again, just to back up one step, misat, so you're going to give of the abundance of a free will offering. Yedecha, your hand, or we could add the word from, but it's in construct, so we're not wrong in saying of your hands, though it's not the best English. Again, we will translate this with the abundance of a free will offering of your hands. So it belongs to your hands, essentially, if we're going to get hyper literal. Continuing on, asher, which, titan, which you shall give. So here we've got titan. This is a pronoun affixed to the front, affixed onto the front. So if we just cover that up, the root is natan. It's a very common Hebrew verbal root where first radical nun assimilates. When you add a pronoun onto the front end, it assimilates and it kind of disappears as absorbed into the tav and becomes a dagesh forte. And so Natan is a Hebrew word that is used many hundreds of times. Natan means to give, to deliver, to set, to permit. So just the verbal root, the lexical form, Natan, would mean he gave. So here with the pronoun, the tav affixed to the front end, it is imperfect. You will give, or you could say you shall give. And it's referring to the same people group as up here. So you shall give, ka'asher. And I should put, it's actually singular. So referring to the individual Israelite, you shall give, ka'asher, as, yivarechecha. Of course, the root barak, to bless. The prefix yod meaning he will bless. Ka'asher, as he will bless you, or really as he has blessed you. Better way of putting it. And then it's going to tell you who the he is. The prefixed yod, imperfect, refers to the Lord, Hashem. So according to how Hashem, the Lord, Elohecha, the Lord your God, has blessed you.